Hi, Rob Linhart here in the Hazel's Wine Department, and we've got Sunday specials for August 13th and 14th.
John was the first one to pull you down. He took one drink and he started to clown. Passed you the Hazel, Jane, and Jack. Penelope got you and passed you right back.
We've got 4 wines to talk about this week. We're going to start in Italy with the 2021 Altavilla Pecorino. Now, Pecorino, an Italian white grape, we see it basically nowhere else in the world. If you're not familiar with this grape, I highly recommend you get involved. This is a terrific example at a great price. Up front, a lovely, bright citrus streak is going to hit you right in the face. As it starts to open up, almost immediately, we'll get into what I would call a phenolic place. So think straw, dried grass. On the nose and on the palate, you'll get this nice sort of rich, nutty feel to it as well. That citrus will come back at you. You're going to get this intense streak of really concentrated lemon running through this wine to a nice dry finish. Bit of a mineral finish here. On the light-ish side, I'd say, even for white wines, I gave it about a 2 out of 5 for body, but a very versatile, well-made, super interesting white wine at a great price. Next up, we're heading to Tuscany for the 2019 Poggio del Moro New Chianti. Now, this is a Chianti that hasn't seen a ton of oak. I did not get a big oak influence here. What you're gonna get is up front, great, big blast of fresh, juicy black and red fruits. Think blackberry, red cherry, little bit hint of red licorice, I would say, to give that slightly redder tone. Nice herbal detail coming through on this wine as well. Again, the fruit here very fresh. A lot of times these wines, these Sangiovese heavy wines, can give you that sort of dried out fruit character. Here, the acidity keeps it nice and juicy and round. Good, full attack, silky, polished palate here. Just the tiniest bit of tannin maybe on the finish. Nothing to write home about. The acid will balance that nicely. A very easy drinking, super fresh example of Chianti. We're staying in Italy now, but we're heading south for the 2016 Cantine San Paolo Taurasi. Now, Taurasi is a famous area inland from Naples. The primary red grape, the most important red grape here, is known as Aglianico, sometimes referred to as the Nebbiolo of the South. Historically, these wines can have big, rustic, bold structure. They really come at you when they're young. Now here, we will find a little bit of that structure, but that's mostly going to come through on the finish, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But up front, what we get are all the elements that made this wine so famous, and these intense, concentrated black and red fruits. Think black cherry again, blackberry, really dark. There's some evolution here, a little bit of age. We are coming up from 2016, so starting to drift a little bit into a slightly figgy note, I would say. But we'll get cocoa nib, coffee tones coming through on this wine, little streak of earthiness running through as well. On the palate, we'll get a sort of a mineral streak kind of running through, firming up the palate a bit. Again, that will carry you through to a somewhat structured finish. So we'll get big, juicy acid playing with some fairly big tannins. Now, this is not a problem if you have the right food. So here we are talking about cheeseburgers, grilled meats, rich cheeses, some fat and protein to play with this wine, and let the dense, concentrated fruits in this wine come popping right out. Last but not least, we're crossing the Mediterranean. We're heading to Spain for the 2022 Carré Solidarity Rosé. Now, we have run this wine in the past. We've moved up a vintage. We've gone from 2021 to 22. The 22 version here, a bit bigger, a bit more fruit than the 21 version. So right up front, you're gonna really get hit. Super fresh strawberry, watermelon tones, just a little hint of bubble gum. There was big ripeness in the fruit here, so we're getting almost a caramel tone laying underneath this super fresh fruit. Also able to pick up a little bit of a floral note, especially on the finish. It's sort of a nice dried rose petal tone coming through. This is a very complete rosé, very much in a fuller bodied style from the previous vintage. Folks, for good measure, we would like to note that the producer, Kare, will donate 10% of all the proceeds from the sale of this wine to breast cancer research, doing their part to help us out.
John was the first one to pull you down. He took one drink and he started to clown. Passed you the Hazel, Jane, and Jack. Penelope got you and passed you right back.